Hello and welcome to Code Tutorials. In this video, we are going to cover the key themes global options focused on e-commerce, namely the shop section. We'll look at the effect these options have and how to use them. Right now, we're browsing the key themes demos. I want to show you the one I'll be using for this tutorial. Here it is, the interior design shop. I'll open it so we can take a peek. This is the demo's homepage. It's a straight-up online store, which makes it ideal for examining the theme's global options shop section. Alright, now that we've seen that, I'll make some adjustments behind the scenes and then we can dive into this tutorial. Here we are. Now I'll open the shop page. The options we'll be covering will affect this page. The shop page is automatically generated by WooCommerce and it serves to display all your products. You can create other shop pages on your site and use widgets to create product lists, but then you'd be using the widgets options to modify things on those pages. The shop page generated by WooCommerce is the only one, alongside product pages, that will respond to the global key theme options for e-commerce, which we'll be exploring shortly. Now, this page we're looking at is composed of a sidebar on the left and a product list on the right. We can change this layout using one of the options we'll be looking at shortly. So, without further ado, let's go back to the dashboard so we can start going through the global options for the shop that you get with the key theme. You can find these options under Qode Essential Add-ons, Options. The first thing I want to take care of there is this box about data usage. I'm going to allow it as it provides developers with information for improving products. In this case, that product is the key theme. Okay then, I can open the options I need, namely these in the WooCommerce section. A few things before we start. Yes, I'm deliberately skipping the options before this because we tackled them in a separate video. Right now, we'll be focusing on the WooCommerce and Sidebar sections. If this doesn't cover the options you need, then you can check out the other videos in the Key Theme Global Options playlist. Also, the options we'll be looking at, and indeed all the options under Qode Essential Add-ons, are for setting some site-wide rules and determining things concerning the overall style and layout of your pages. It's important to remember that these options aren't used for adding content. They simply allow us to set how the pages, in this case our shop, will look. The things we set here will apply to the entire site. However, you will be able to make exceptions using the options within individual pages and page elements. Okay, our global theme shop or WooCommerce options contain 3 tabs: the product list, product single, and product info typography. We'll start with the tab that's already open, the product list. The first option in here is the number of columns. We have several options for changing it. The default setting is 3, as we can see on the shop page. You can increase this up to 6. I'll set 4 so we can see how it would look. And refresh the page. And there we go. The shop has its products arranged in 4 columns. Okay, let me restore this to the default setting. Save. And refresh. Okay. After this, we have the sidebar layout. This lets us pick whether the sidebar will be to the left or the right, and how much space it will take up. The default setting is sidebar 1/4 left, so the sidebar is to the left of the content and takes up 1/4 of the available space on the page. Let's see what this would look like if we changed it. Say sidebar 1/4 right, and save changes. Then refresh. There. The sidebar has switched sides. Let's see what it would look like if it was wider. I'll use 1/3 left. Save changes and refresh. Now the sidebar takes up 1/3 of the available space. I say available space. My page is set to be in grid, which means the content, including the sidebar, has to fit within the width of the grid. In my case, that's 1300 pixels. Also, if you prefer, you can use the no sidebar setting. This will disable the sidebar from appearing on my shop page. There. Now we have the shop or product list taking up all the space. So these are some of the settings you can pick for your layout. I'll return this to the original setting now. Sidebar 1/4 left. And save changes. Refresh. Alright. After this, we have the title tag option. By default, it's set to H4, and it gets us this look on the page. You can change it to any of these here. I'll set H6 for example, and save changes. Then refresh. And here it is. The new title has a completely different look. I'll put this back now. OK, save, and refresh. Great. The next option is for centering content. I'll switch it to yes so we can see what it does. And refresh. Now when we look at the text content in the product list, it's all centered. Both the title and the price have moved together. Let me restore the original setting. OK. And refresh. Perfect. Following this, we have the Show Product Category option. It does just what the name suggests. It lets us display the category that each of the products in the list belongs to. There, you can see the categories under the titles. I'll put it back. OK, save, and refresh. Alright, moving on. We have the Show Product Price option. It's enabled already, and thanks to it we can see this price here and the price for all the products in the list. You can disable this. I'll show you what that looks like. And refresh. There, all the prices are gone. Now visitors will be able to see how much something costs by opening the individual page for that product. OK, I'll go back and enable the prices again. And refresh. There. Following that, we have the Show Product Rating option. This one is also enabled by default, but when we look at the page, there are no ratings that we can see. This is because I'm working on what is essentially demo content. So I have product pages, but no one to rate them. So to show you how the product rating in the list looks like, I'll create a dummy rating for a product now. OK, let me scroll down to the section where I can leave a review. There. And I'll set a star rating and type up a comment. This is just placeholder content. I only need to have some kind of review. Submit. And now if we look at the top of this page, the star rating for the product is shown here, as well as the number of customers who left reviews. And then if I go to the list page and refresh, the rating is shown under the product title. OK. Moving on, the next option is for changing the content background color. I'll set this light gray, for example. Then refresh. And now we can see the color I picked as the background of the text content. So this is the content background color option. There is also the page background color option if you want to change the color of the entire page. And you can find that in the general section of the global theme options. OK, I'll reset the content background color now and save the changes I've made. Refresh. Alright. And the last of the product list options is the image hover background color. Using the color picker, you can easily select any color you like. I'll set this, for example. Save, then refresh. Now when I hover over an image, there. The background color appears over the image but underneath the Add to Cart button. OK, let me clear this. And save. Then refresh. And my list is back to the way it was. Perfect. So with that, the first tab is done, and I can move on to the second one. And that one is for product singles. A product single is this, an individual product page. We have one option in here, and it lets us change the title tag. It's set to H3, and that gets us this look on the page. I'll change that to H4 so we can see what a different setting would look like. And refresh. There. My title is much smaller and less conspicuous now. I'll restore the default setting. And save. Then refresh. Alright, now for our final tab in the WooCommerce section of the global theme options. The product info typography. The first part of these options is dedicated to category typography. At the top, we have the options for the product list category styles. So, in order to show you how these different styles and typography options affect the categories shown in the product list, I first have to reopen the first tab and enable the option for showing the product categories in the first place. There, and save changes. Now let's check the page. Alright, we're ready. So getting back to the options in the third tab, the first thing we can change is the color of the category. I'm going to replace the dark gray we have right now with this orange, for example. And then save changes and refresh. There we go. Now the color of the category text is this new orange shade. It changes on hover, and there is a separate section with the hover styles options that we'll get to in a bit. For now, we have the font family option that lets us pick out any of these fonts. You can add more to this list by first including the fonts you want in the font section of the global theme options. But I'll set this one temporarily so we can see the change. Then refresh. And here we go. My category text is both a different color and a different font. Okay, now actually I'll drag this tab closer to the front. And now I can reset these two options. Just a sec. Alright. Save changes. And refresh. Perfect. So our next option here is font size. I'll set 21 instead of 18 and save changes. Then refresh. And here it is. The category text is noticeably larger now. Let me return it to the way it was. Save changes. And refresh. Okay, looking good. After this, we have the line height option. That one affects this space here. To be more precise, it affects the space both above and below the category text by increasing the height of the line it occupies. Since you are unlikely to have enough categories listed for 2 rows worth of text, the change this option creates will be most notable by the space between the title and the category. Right now, we have 20 pixels for this option. I'll change that to 40, a much larger number to create a striking difference when we look at the page. And there, we can see the gap here is much larger. The same amount of space is present under the category text as well. Okay, I'll put this back and save changes. Then refresh. Okay, then we have the letter spacing option. The default setting here is 0, but I'll add 3 pixels so we can see how the category text would look like with the letters spread out. And refresh. There, the words are all stretched out. I'll clear this. Then save changes. And refresh. Alright, then we have the font weight, which is set to normal 400. I'll replace it with bold 700 to show you the difference. Save. And refresh. There, the category text is noticeably thicker. Okay, let me put this back the way it was. And save. Then check the page too. Okay, perfect. After that, we have the text transform option. This lets you set the title to be, for example, all lowercase or uppercase. I'll show you how the uppercase setting looks. Just a moment. Refresh. And there. The category text is all uppercase now, and I'll reset this. Save. Then refresh. Perfect. Next we have the font style option. I'll switch it from the default, which is normal, to italic. Save. And refresh. There it is. Okay, let me put it back now. Alright. And refresh. Great. Finally, we have the text decoration option. And this requires a bit of explaining. We can see right now that this option is set to underline. But when we look at the page, our category text is clearly not underlined. So what gives? Well, the reason our underline isn't showing is here, the Draw Hover Text Decoration option. It's enabled at the moment. And as we can see from this notice, keeping this enabled will overwrite anything set in the text decoration option. Meaning, if I want my underline, I have to switch this off. Save changes. And refresh. There it is. My category text has its decoration now. Okay. So, the text decoration was the last one in the category styles options. Following them, we have the category hover styles. Basically, these affect how the category text will look or act on hover. The link hover color is the color that shows up when you hover over a category. Right now that's pure black, but I'll set something lighter. There, save changes, and refresh. Now hovering over the category shows that lighter shade I just set. Okay, I'll put it back. I'll just enter the hex code for black, which is 6 zeros. After that, we have the link hover text decoration. The selection of settings is the same as for the regular text decoration. I'm going to set something different for this, say line through. Save and refresh. Okay, when I hover, the line through replaces the underline. And now we've circled back to the Draw Hover Text Decoration option. Before I enable it again, I'll change the link hover text decoration to underline, and then I'll switch this to yes. Before we take a look at it, the Draw Hover Text Decoration option adds an animated effect that works with the link hover text decoration. Whichever decoration you pick, underline, overline, etc., will seem like it's being drawn while we watch it. Let me show you. Save changes and refresh. Now if I hover over a category name, this line gets drawn under it. And it's the case for all the categories in my product list. Moving on. The next section of the options covers the price typography. The first part is for the price style shown on the product list and the product singles as well. The second part is if you want to set something different for the price style shown on product singles. So, a way of making exceptions. For the product list display, the first option is the color. I'll replace the default dark gray with something new and save changes. We'll look at the single first. Refresh, and there, the price now has the new color I set. And let's check the product list as well. Here it is, the new color. Okay, now that we've seen how it works, let me restore the original. Save and refresh. Okay, next to this we have the discount color. To show you this one, I'm going to first need to set a discount for one of my products. So let's go to the products and I'll open, let's see what's shown at the top of the product list. I think the black lamp single will work well. So let me find it, just a sec. There, click to open. Okay, near the top we have this product data section, and inside it are the fields for adding the regular and the sale prices. As we can see, this field is blank, but I'll set a sale price for it now. For example, this, and update. With that done, I'll close the tab, and the product view as well. Now let's see how my product list looks on the front end. We can immediately see the black lamp product shows the percentage of discount in the corner of the image. This is automatically calculated, don't worry. And we have the new sale price here, with the old one crossed out. So now that I have the price that's been discounted, I can change its color. I'm going to set this orange that I've been using, and save changes. Then refresh. Alright, here it is. The price that has been discounted, the old price, shows the color change. Just so we're clear, for the new price or the sale price if you prefer, you'd use the regular color option. Alright, let me set this back. Clear. And save changes. Then refresh. Back to the way it was. Perfect. Following this, we have a number of typography options that we've seen already, such as font family, font size, etc. So I don't think we need to go over them again. However, I do want to briefly look at the options in the second section of the price typography styles. I mentioned them when we started with the third tab. These options are for styling the price typography solely on product singles. So anything you change now won't affect the price style in the product list. Let's take a look at that in practice. I'll set a different color and save. Then if we refresh the product list, there's no changes. However, if we switch over to a product single and refresh, there's actually no change because I had this open when I was first changing the price color in the settings above. And those settings affected the single as well as the list. Now, however, we can see that the price here is orange colored, but that's not the case for the product list. Okay, let me clear this color setting. And the next option, discount color, works the same. Before I make any changes, let me open the single where I have a discounted price. Okay, now we can see here that the sale price, the $99, is still orange. That's because I cleared the color, but I forgot to save that change. So it's still here. But I'll fix that when I add the discount color, for example this, and save changes. refresh, and there we go. Now the discounted price is red and the sale or new price is back to its default color. Okay, I'll clear this too. There. And save changes. Then refresh. Right. Following that, we have the font size option. I'll increase it so we can see. And again, this is just for the product single. Refresh. And there it is. If I check the product list, there's nothing different. Okay, let me restore the original setting. Save. And refresh. Excellent. And our final option here is for the line height. I'll change it so we can see how the price on the page is affected. Refresh. There now. There's more space above and below the price, so a pretty straightforward increase of the line height. I'll put it back. And save. Refresh. Great. Moving on, the next section of the options is for the product info typography. These options allow us to style the look of, let me show you, this content here. These few items of information that each product single has. And the options for them are divided into two parts, the label styles and the info styles. Starting with the label styles, I'll change the color. I'll use this, as the change will make it easier to see which part of the product info will be affected by the options in this section. And there, the labels part of the product information is now orange. And it's these three words that will be affected by any change we make to the typography options for label styles. Okay, let me restore the original setting for the color here. Save changes and refresh. Alright. Now, looking at the options, we have all kinds of familiar settings, from font family, font size, line height, to others we've covered before, such as letter spacing, font weight, and more. We've seen how all these work, so I don't want to waste your time by going over them again. Rather, let's take a look at the second part of these options, the info styles. I'll do the same thing here that I did before. I'll replace the color so we can see which part of the text is affected. Then refresh, and there now, the content showing the information is colored orange. So the bolded text on the left are labels and the italic text on the right is the information. By the way, you can use the options we're looking at now to change the text from italic or bold in case of the labels to whatever you like. And again, this is just for the information shown within the single. If I look at the product list and hit refresh, nothing's going to change. I'll restore the original color. Just a sec. Save changes and refresh. Alright. Now that you know which part of the product information is affected, you can decide which of these options would suit your planned design and what you want to do with your site. And the last section of these options is for the product info link styles. The three options in here will work on the pieces of information here, provided those pieces of information are linked. As we can see, the SKU is plain text, but the category and tag are linked. So if we want to change something for those two, we can set a different link hover color. Right now, we have the same one that is used as the color for the normal display. To see how this works, I'll set a new color as the link hover color. And save changes. Then refresh. Now when I examine the different pieces of info, the regular text remains the same, but the link text shows the orange color I set when I hover over it. This makes it even easier to spot what is and what isn't clickable. And also we can see that an underline appears on hover, and it has that smooth animation effect that's typical of the Draw Hover Text Decoration option. And when we look at the options, we can see that it is enabled. So with this, we have the animation for the underline that serves as our text decoration. I'll switch it to no, which means this underline I have as the text decoration will simply appear on hover with no special effects. And if we look above, the regular text decoration is also an underline. This means the underline will appear both for normal and on hover display with no notable change between the two. But before we take a look at that, let me restore the original link hover color. Alright, there it is. Save changes. Then refresh. Now if we look at the linked text, we can see that the color is back to the way it was. And there is no difference in the text display whether I hover or not. The underline with no animation is there regardless. Okay, I'll set the Draw a Hover text decoration back to yes. Since activating this effect overwrites the decoration on normal display, that means the underline, although set, will appear only on hover. And if we look at the page, there. Until we hover, there's no difference between the regular and linked text. Okay, with this we've wrapped up everything in the WooCommerce section of the global theme options. All that we've seen so far is specifically related to the e-commerce side of a site, its shop. However, there is still another section in these options that, while not specifically related to a shop, can prove useful for it. And that is the Sidebar section. If we look at the shop page, this is my sidebar. Now, at the start of this video, we looked at the sidebar layout option that we found in the WooCommerce section. This option served to change the sidebar only on the shop page, and it worked independently from the rest of your site. So you can have a sidebar enabled on the rest of your site, but keep it disabled for the shop alone, or vice versa. To help us do this, we have another sidebar layout option located in the sidebar section. If we look at the setting here, my demo has its sidebar disabled on all pages. However, if you recall, my shop has a sidebar. So you can have a sidebar enabled for your shop, but not the rest of your site, as the sidebar layout options in different sections of the settings work independently of one another. In essence, they have a certain hierarchy. More general settings, such as these here for the sidebar, will be overwritten by more specific settings. Hence, you can disable the sidebar for your entire site, but if you enable it for the shop will have a sidebar. And once you've decided if and where you want to use the sidebar, you have these two options below that would allow you to make some adjustments to it. These options will work on your sidebar no matter where it is, meaning these will affect the sidebar on my shop page. The widget's margin bottom allows us to change, let me show you, the amount of space we have here below each widget in the sidebar. So in a way, it's the space between the widgets. I'll set 100 pixels here so we can see how an increase would look. And refresh. We can see immediately that the space under each widget is much larger now. I'll remove it. Just a sec. Okay. And refresh. Alright. After this, we have the widget's title margin bottom option, which lets us adjust the space underneath each widget's title, provided that there is one. This is a title and this is a title, but the search form above doesn't have one. So let me set 50 pixels here and we'll take a look at how that affects the look of the sidebar. And there, the titles have gotten separated from the widget content when we gave them a bottom margin of 50 pixels. Alright, let me clear this option and save. Refresh to make sure that everything is okay now. Perfect. And with that, our overview of the key themes WooCommerce and sidebar options is done. We hope that you'll find this coverage of the available options and the examination of their effects to be useful for your own future site building work. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please drop us a line in the comments below. Also, make sure to subscribe to our channel and be the first to learn about new tutorials and theme guides.